Every single day, we wake up at a crossroads. One path leads us deeper into the habits that age our spirit: comfort, avoidance, overstimulation. The other path leads toward vitality, toward the sharp, resilient, youthful mindset every one of us deserves, no matter our age. Youth is not a number, it is the oxygen of the mind, the electricity of curiosity, the courage to face discomfort. And in a world saturated with instant gratification, reclaiming that youthfulness is not just a choice, it is an act of rebellion. The first daily practice for a youthful mindset begins with embracing discomfort, not avoiding it, not numbing it, but welcoming it as your greatest teacher. We live in a dopamine-driven culture that promises ease at every turn: scroll when we're bored, snack when we're stressed, binge when we feel empty. But every time we reach for a quick hit of pleasure, we dull the very circuits that keep us mentally young. So ask yourself each morning, what discomfort can I lean into today? Maybe it's cold exposure, a tough workout, silence instead of noise, or putting your phone in another room. Discomfort sharpens the mind. Discomfort awakens us. Discomfort tells the brain, stay alive, stay alert, stay young. When we intentionally choose what is hard, we strengthen the pleasure-pain balance that keeps the mind flexible and resilient. And resilience is the fuel of youth. The second daily practice is radical presence. A youthful mind is not scattered, it is anchored. It sees the world with curiosity, not urgency. Yet our attention today is the most exploited currency on the planet. We give it away without a fight: notifications, comparisons, news cycles, constant noise. If you want to reclaim your youthfulness, you must reclaim your attention. For at least a few minutes each day, practice full presence. Sit with your breath. Feel your heartbeat. Observe a single object. Listen, really listen to the person in front of you. Presence is the antidote to chaos. Presence rewires the brain for emotional balance. Presence brings color back into the world. When you stop multitasking your life, your mind becomes sharper, faster, brighter, because it is no longer drowning in distraction. Youthfulness thrives in the space between stimulation, and radical presence creates that space. The third daily practice is deliberate gratitude. Not the soft, vague gratitude we list half-heartedly at night, but the kind that reconnects us to meaning and purpose. A youthful mind is not defined by how much it has, it is defined by how deeply it appreciates what it already holds. Gratitude reduces stress, calms the nervous system, and brings the brain into a state of abundance. It pulls you out of the cycle of craving and into the reality of enough. Every morning or evening, reflect on one thing that challenged you and one thing that supported you. This dual gratitude trains your brain to see life not as a threat, but as a dynamic interplay of growth and guidance. Over time, this simple practice lowers anxiety, deepens connection, and ignites motivation. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a discipline. And when practiced daily, it keeps the mind youthful by directing your focus toward possibility instead of scarcity. A youthful mindset is not a gift, it is a construction. It is a daily commitment to discomfort, presence, and gratitude. When you choose these three practices, you choose a mind that stays alive, vibrant, curious, unafraid. You choose a brain that is balanced, not burned out. And most importantly, you choose a version of yourself that does not age with the world's expectations, but grows with its challenges. Your mind is not getting older, it is waiting to be awakened. Let today be the day you begin. Every single day, we are confronted with choices that either strengthen us or weaken us, and nowhere is this more evident than in how we respond to discomfort. Most people spend their lives running from it, seeking ease and instant gratification at every turn, believing that comfort is the path to happiness. But here's the truth. Comfort is the silent killer of vitality, the slow erosion of the youthful mind. Real mental youth, real resilience, comes not from avoiding challenge, but from leaning into it. Discomfort is the signal your brain needs, the spark that wakes up circuits dulled by constant pleasure, and the teacher that strengthens your capacity to thrive. When you face what is hard, when you embrace what is uncomfortable, your brain experiences a recalibration. It learns that you can survive, adapt, and even find meaning in situations that would otherwise provoke avoidance. This is not abstract theory. It is neuroscience in action. The prefrontal cortex, The part of your brain responsible for decision-making, self-control, and long-term planning grows stronger when you voluntarily navigate difficulty. The dopamine system, often hijacked by the endless cycle of instant rewards, is reset through controlled discomfort. By choosing what challenges you, you are literally rewiring your brain for resilience, vitality, and mental sharpness. Consider the small but deliberate actions you can take each day. Perhaps it's a cold shower in the morning, a workout that pushes your limits, or a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's sitting in silence instead of scrolling your phone, or tackling a task you've been procrastinating on. Each of these moments of intentional discomfort sends a message to your brain: you are capable, you are alive, you are present. Over time, these repeated choices compound, creating a neural architecture that supports courage, focus, and a youthful mindset. Discomfort also teaches perspective. It reminds us that the body and mind are far more resilient than we assume, that we can withstand temporary unease for long-term gain. It builds emotional agility, the ability to face pain, disappointment, or frustration without being overwhelmed. And emotional agility is the cornerstone of mental youth because it prevents the mind from calcifying into rigidity, cynicism, and fear. When you embrace discomfort as a daily practice, you stop being a passive participant in life and become an active architect of your own brain. You create a feedback loop where challenge leads to growth, growth leads to confidence, and confidence fuels even more courageous choices. Discomfort becomes not a threat but a tool, a ladder to a sharper, more alert, and more resilient version of yourself. So, the next time life presents something hard, don't shy away. Don't numb it. Lean in, welcome it, let it stretch you, challenge you, and awaken parts of your brain and spirit that have been dormant. Mental youth is not a product of luck or genetics. It is forged in these deliberate moments of choosing what is hard. Every time you embrace discomfort, you are investing in a mind that is vibrant, resilient, and unafraid. A mind that refuses to grow old because it refuses to grow passive. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is the gateway to your most alive, most youthful self. In today's world, attention has become the most precious commodity, yet we squander it as if it were endless. Every ping of a notification, every scroll through social media, every fragment of distraction chips away at our mental vitality. A youthful mind is not measured by age, it is measured by focus, clarity, and the ability to engage fully with the present moment. When we give our attention away mindlessly, we are training our brains to be scattered, shallow, and restless. The path to a youthful mindset requires guarding your attention with the same vigilance you would protect your most valuable possession. Radical presence is not a soft concept. It is a daily practice that rewires your brain to resist the pull of distraction. Every moment you invest in full engagement, whether it's listening intently to someone, immersing yourself in a task, or simply observing the world without judgment, you strengthen neural circuits responsible for awareness, self-regulation, and cognitive flexibility. These circuits are the ones that allow a mind to stay alert, curious, and adaptive. Consider how often we drift through life on autopilot, scrolling endlessly, multitasking, and fragmenting our awareness. Each instance reinforces a neural pattern of distraction, making it harder to focus, harder to remember, harder to experience depth. But when we consciously reclaim attention, even for a few minutes a day, we reverse this trend. Start with small, deliberate acts, turn off notifications, close your laptop when you need to think, give undivided attention to a conversation, or spend a few minutes observing your surroundings with full curiosity. These moments create a sanctuary for the mind, a space where it can reset, recharge, and rewire itself toward vitality. Presence also deepens emotional intelligence. A brain trained to focus fully notices subtle cues, empathizes more deeply, and processes information with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. Youthful minds are flexible, not rigid, and flexibility comes from the ability to direct attention intentionally rather than letting it be hijacked by the endless lure of dopamine hits. Moreover, radical presence cultivates a profound sense of agency. You begin to realize that your thoughts, emotions, and reactions are not slaves to external stimuli. They are tools you can shape and guide. This realization is energizing. It restores a sense of mastery and power over your own experience. Over time, as you practice presence consistently, your mental landscape transforms. The mind that once scattered and restless becomes focused, vibrant, and resilient. Tasks that once felt overwhelming are approached with clarity, conversations are richer, and your ability to savor life's moments intensifies. This is the essence of youthfulness, engagement, curiosity, and the thrill of being fully alive in the moment. Attention is the currency of mental vitality, and each day offers a choice: to spend it mindlessly, letting the world dictate your focus, or to invest it wisely, strengthening the very circuits that sustain a youthful mind. Radical presence is the daily practice that creates that investment. Guard your attention, direct it with purpose, and watch your mind grow sharper, brighter, and more alive. In a world designed to steal your focus, reclaiming attention is not just a strategy, it is a rebellion, a declaration that your mind will not age passively, but will remain curious, flexible, and vibrantly youthful day after day. Gratitude is often dismissed as a simple feel-good exercise, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful tools for keeping the mind youthful and resilient. A youthful mind is not defined by what it possesses or the circumstances it faces. It is defined by how it interprets and engages with the world. Gratitude shifts the brain from a default state of craving and comparison into a state of awareness and abundance. In our modern world, the brain is constantly bombarded with stimuli, reinforcing the notion that we are never enough, that we always need more money, more likes, more approval, more stimulation. This constant craving overloads the brain's reward circuits, creating stress, anxiety, and mental fatigue. Gratitude acts as a reset button. By intentionally focusing on what we already have, we reduce the brain's dependency on external validation and cultivate a sense of internal richness. This practice is not passive, it is deliberate and disciplined. It requires you to pause, reflect, and name the things that have meaning and value in your life, even amidst difficulty. For example, acknowledging the lessons learned from challenges, the support of a friend, or the simple beauty of a quiet morning activates neural pathways associated with positive emotions and emotional regulation. Over time, this rewiring strengthens resilience, reduces stress, and increases cognitive flexibility, the very hallmarks of a youthful mind. Gratitude also strengthens social and emotional connections. When you notice and appreciate the contributions of others, you deepen relationships, creating a network of support that nourishes mental and emotional health. A youthful mind thrives on connection, curiosity, and engagement, and gratitude is the lens through which these qualities flourish. Moreover, gratitude enhances motivation and goal pursuit. When you focus on what is working and what is already present, you build a foundation of confidence and satisfaction that allows you to pursue challenges without being trapped in fear or envy. The brain learns to recognize opportunity instead of deficiency. In practice, this could mean ending each day reflecting on 3 moments of significance: one that challenged you, one that brought joy, and one that reminded you of your resilience. By doing this consistently, you train the mind to scan the environment not for threats or deficits, but for growth, connection, and meaning. Over weeks and months, this rewiring makes the brain more adaptable, emotionally balanced, and resistant to the toxic effects of comparison and overstimulation. Gratitude, therefore, is not a fleeting emotion, it is a daily discipline that sustains mental vitality. It counterbalances the pull of modern life toward overstimulation and craving. It is the secret weapon for maintaining cognitive sharpness, emotional agility, and psychological resilience. A youthful mind is one that continues to grow, to see life with curiosity, and to respond with energy and purpose. Gratitude keeps the mind attuned to what is valuable, meaningful, and possible, rather than what is missing or distracting. By practicing deliberate gratitude each day, you are investing in a brain that remains vibrant, alert, and resilient. You are choosing to see life not as a series of deficits, but as a landscape rich with potential, learning, and connection. Gratitude, when practiced with intention, is a fountain of mental youth, a discipline that nourishes the mind, sharpens the spirit, and keeps you vibrant, curious, and fully alive in every moment. A youthful mind is one that does not shy away from the full spectrum of human experience, and at the heart of that vitality is the courage to feel. In our society, we are taught to numb, to distract, to avoid uncomfortable emotions as if they were enemies. But emotions are not obstacles, they are signals. They are the language of the brain, guiding us toward understanding, connection, and growth. To stop feeling is to stop learning about yourself and the world. When we confront emotions directly, even the painful ones, fear, sadness, anger, frustration, we build flexibility and strength in the brain. Emotional engagement keeps neural circuits alive, responsive, and adaptable. It prevents the mind from calcifying into rigid patterns of avoidance and denial, which are hallmarks of mental aging. Every time you turn toward your emotions instead of running from them, you are exercising the most important muscle for a youthful mindset, self-awareness. This self-awareness allows you to navigate life with clarity instead of being hijacked by reactionary impulses. Feeling deeply also connects us to reality in a way that distraction never can. When you numb yourself to pain, you also numb yourself to joy, excitement, and satisfaction. Emotional depth is the secret ingredient of mental vitality because it allows the brain to experience the highs and lows of life fully, creating resilience and adaptability. Consider how often people distract themselves from discomfort through social media, binge watching, overeating, or substances. Each act of avoidance trains the brain to rely on external fixes rather than internal processing, dulling emotional intelligence and diminishing mental agility. In contrast, leaning into feelings, observing them without judgment, and allowing them to pass naturally strengthens the prefrontal cortex, enhances emotional regulation, and heightens cognitive flexibility. It trains the mind to respond instead of react, to act with intentionality instead of being driven by impulse. This is not about indulgence in suffering, it is about conscious engagement with reality. By acknowledging your emotions daily, you build a foundation of mental resilience that protects against stress, burnout, and stagnation. Furthermore, feeling deeply fosters empathy and connection. A mind that experiences its own emotions fully can recognize and respond to the emotions of others. These connections nourish the brain and spirit, keeping them vibrant, curious, and socially attuned, qualities that define youthfulness beyond chronological age. To practice this daily, dedicate moments to check in with yourself. Ask, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? What can this emotion teach me? Sit with discomfort instead of reaching for a quick fix. Notice the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind, and the urges that arise. Over time, this practice rewires the brain to tolerate and even welcome emotional complexity. A youthful mind is not soft, it is flexible, resilient, and alive. It thrives on curiosity, engagement, and emotional richness. By stopping the numbing, by facing emotions with honesty and courage, you cultivate a mind that remains agile, vibrant, and fully present. Feeling deeply is not a liability. It is the most powerful tool for sustaining mental youth, sharpening the mind, and keeping the spirit energized, engaged, and fearless in the face of life's challenges. Discipline is often misunderstood as restriction or deprivation, but in truth, it is the cornerstone of freedom, vitality, and a youthful mind. Every day, we are faced with countless impulses, distractions, and temptations, each one designed to hijack our attention, drain our energy, and weaken our self-control. In succumbing to these instant gratifications, we teach our brains to seek comfort and avoid challenge, dulling the circuits that sustain focus, resilience, and motivation. A youthful mind, by contrast, is one that exercises intentional discipline, not out of obligation, but as an act of self-empowerment. Discipline strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and long-term planning. When we repeatedly choose action over avoidance, effort over ease, and delayed rewards over instant pleasure, we are literally reshaping our neural pathways to favor growth, clarity, and self-mastery. Consider how small, consistent acts of discipline compound over time. Waking up early to move your body, committing to a daily practice of reflection or learning, resisting the urge to scroll endlessly through your phone, or holding yourself accountable to a meaningful goal. These are not minor tasks. They are exercises that signal to your brain that you are in control, that your choices matter, and that your mind is capable of more than momentary indulgence. Discipline also regulates the brain's dopamine system, the very mechanism that drives motivation and reward. When we act with purpose rather than impulse, we restore balance, reduce cravings for meaningless stimulation, and heighten our capacity for sustained focus and satisfaction. A youthful mind is alert, engaged, and responsive. Discipline ensures it stays that way. Beyond neurological benefits, discipline cultivates emotional resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, setbacks, and discomfort. Without self-control, we are vulnerable to frustration, despair, and passivity. With discipline, however, we develop the capacity to persevere, to navigate difficulty with clarity, and to transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Each disciplined choice reinforces a sense of agency, reminding us that we are architects of our own experience rather than passive participants in a reactive world. Importantly, discipline is not a punishment, it is liberation. Every moment spent practicing restraint, focus, or delayed gratification expands the boundaries of what you believe is possible. You gain confidence, clarity, and mental agility. You sharpen your ability to pursue meaningful goals without being derailed by fleeting desires. Over time, this daily practice creates a feedback loop. Disciplined actions strengthen the brain, which strengthens motivation, which fuels further disciplined choices, producing a mind that is vibrant, capable, and resilient. In a world designed to pull you toward distraction, indulgence, and passivity, discipline is the anchor that preserves mental youth. It is the antidote to overstimulation, the training ground for self-mastery, and the pathway to a life lived fully and intentionally. Every decision to act with purpose, resist temptation, and commit to meaningful practice is an investment in a brain that remains sharp, a spirit that remains energized, and a mind that refuses to age passively. Discipline is not the enemy of pleasure, it is the foundation that allows sustained joy, curiosity, and vitality to flourish. When practiced consistently, it keeps the mind fearless, resilient, and endlessly youthful, ready to face each day with clarity, focus, and unstoppable energy.